I used to really dislike it in the past when someone called me dumb, stupid, or a fool, or other similar kinds of insults in regards to intelligence. I was humble enough to realize some of the limits of my thinking, though still thought I was pretty smart in some ways, and that was something I was proud of. In retrospect, looking back, those were classic signs of being a bit egotistical, though not intentional on my part and more because of a lack of better understanding. When others can bother you with their words like that, then they have some power over you. Thankfully, I was able to free myself more and change my understanding of the situation. I was lucky enough to one day stumble on a presentation of The Fool that really changed my opinion about this. You may or may not know that the Fool is a tarot card, and I heard someone say that the Fool was actually one of the most powerful cards, if not the most powerful one. The reason is essentially because sometimes you have to be a fool in order to learn. You have to be willing to make mistakes and be wrong. Sometimes some of the bad or difficult things can be some of the most growth building. If we can change our perspective in regard to certain things, it can make a big difference. And I can't personally do this with at least one subject, so there may be some subjects where you just can't do this with. But generally, if you can learn to look at an insult as a compliment and other similar sorts of things like that, then it can be significant for you. It has been significant for me. I sort of think I knew this principle to an extent when younger, though lost it to an extent and have rediscovered it. Sometimes reminders can be so vital. There's so many things going on in existence to try to keep track of. I very readily admit there's a lot I don't know. I'm definitely a fool in some ways, and I think admitting to that and taking it as a compliment can be very powerful and help me to grow and learn more. Some people seem to act like they think they know almost everything, and how can you really learn anything new when you already know virtually everything? And what would life be like if we couldn't learn anymore? It seems like learning is one of the greatest and most critical parts of existence. I used to think I knew so much more, and now I love questioning what I thought I knew. Questioning almost everything. What's the truth? The Fool can also be associated with new beginnings and change, as well as other things. And as difficult as certain kinds of change might be for many, there can often be a lot to reflect upon from such. We oftentimes don't know where these changes or new beginnings might lead to, so there can be a bit of fear or anxiety there. Though I do think if we can to some extent move through that fear and anxiety more, then there is a great power if you can figure out how to tap into it right. In my opinion, it can be great sometimes when you can flip an insult that someone else said about you and see it as a compliment, and take yourself from a position of potential disadvantage to one of potential strength. I think language can be very subjective, and we can choose to look at aspects of it in negative or positive or neutral ways. Human imagination and intent can be strong, and we can often choose to see things as empowering or disempowering in ways that you might not otherwise generally expect. Which kind of reminds me of the story of the petty tyrant, but I'll save that for a future episode. I've personally had great results with this new way of looking at the Fool, and now I rarely ever get mad at people when they insult my intelligence anymore. I instead often take it as a compliment and as an opportunity to be patient and to learn and grow. People can talk however they want to talk, that's up to them. I have the choice of how I want to respond, and I can choose to respond with more love and understanding. So, we just did an episode on critical thinking, and now one on the Fool. Interesting how that worked out. I think this to me sort of means we should try to be aware of both sides. There appears to be an intertwined connection here where each side can in ways reflect the other and help to show us a bigger picture. Like with so many things, it's probably wise to try to find a balance between knowing and not knowing, a balance between the wizard and the fool. Now that I've shared my thoughts, I encourage you to share your thoughts if you want to. Feel free to drop a comment on whichever social media is best for you, or you can send an email to exploringthoughtpodcast@gmail.com. I'll do my best to respond if it's reasonable for me to do so and if I have the time and am able to. Thank you for your time, and bye until next time.